Yo, what's really good, people? Welcome back to the channel. In the last video, we talked a lot about pies, pecan, key lime, rhubarb. No, I'm joking. I'm not really a rhubarb man. I'm more of a banoffee pie man myself. Anyway, we talked a hell of a lot about pies as I was talking to you about the excitement of why I joined Trading 212, and one of the main reasons being the pies and auto invest feature, along with FX, more stocks, etc. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about pies in a lot more detail. I'm going to explain what pies are, how it works, all of the pros and cons. I'm going to talk about auto invest, projections, rebalancing, drip, literally everything to do with the whole pies features and functionality. I'm even going to set a few up as well as I talk through it, so you guys get a clear and hopefully simple understanding of how the pies feature works, and hopefully it can, benefit you guys when you are investing, for your future, evidently. So if you want to know all of that plus more, please like, comment, subscribe, help the channel get to 7k subscribers. Follow on Insta and Twitter at Infant Investors. And if you are new to Trading 212, my link will be below in the pinned comment and description. Sign up, deposit, and you'll get a free share worth up to £100. And it's no cap whatsoever, because today I just got an AstraZeneca free share, which is basically £84. So it's a very, very decent free share that I just earned today just by simply referring somebody. So, you can obviously get those free shares by being referred, and then you can obviously refer your friends and family as well, and earn a free shares and a bit of money on the side. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's all going to be good. Definitely jump into that. But let's get straight into pies, and let me explain everything to do with pies. In fact, you know what, I'll start on the screen just before that, because you can see here that I set up a pie earlier. You feel me? Here's one I made earlier. Neil Buchanan, Art Attack vibes. Chase! Listen, if you don't know, you're too young, darling. Anyway, I set up a pie earlier, and I've got to say, guys, even though I thought I would love this feature, have you ever thought you might love something, and then when you're actually involved, you realize the love you thought you had for it pales in comparison to the love you actually have developed for it? Like, literally, I'm in love with this feature, and not only am I in love with it, I think you guys will be too. I think you guys will benefit heavily from it. I think it's really going to have a significant impact to your investment lifestyles and your investment careers going forward, and so I really hope you guys do take it seriously in terms of picking the stocks and how you manage and address your price. Anyway, we're going to get into my philosophies and theories later on. Let's get into everything to do with the whole pie situation. So, effectively, what are pies and what is the purpose of pies? They really are here to serve two main purposes. One is to create a diversified portfolio, but more importantly, maintain that while the markets move up and down. You can start with a diversified portfolio, but when share values in some of your stocks go up and share values in some of your stocks go down, then actually the diversified percentage will differ in accordance to time. So obviously, if you want to maintain a certain percentage of your diversification, this feature is going to help you to do that. Also, it's going to help you allocate money without having to make complex calculations and contributions and how you're going to balance it going forward. Now, you do have the option to do manual investing, which I'm going to explain in this video. But if you want to set things on autopilot and have a script in place and it continues to follow that month after month, then that's a real significant benefit for you. But the way Trading 212 have actually created this feature, for me, there's a lot more benefits than that, which I'm going to get and explain into. Now, in terms of what can go into a pie, we'll start creating a pie. We'll show you. You can put basically, 710 stocks at the moment, and 83 ETFs can go into the pie. You can have up to 100 securities within the pie, so you can have up to 100. If you want more than that, then you'll obviously need to create a new pie. I think 100 is more than enough. I think one of the benefits of a pie is potentially replicating some ETFs, but just taking the stocks that you actually really wanted in that ETF, not the ones you don't want, and doing it on a free basis as well. So I think 100 is more than enough, but you can actually do that. And obviously you can have an unlimited number of pies if you wanted to have 3 pies, 4 pies, 5 pies, 6 pies, 7 pies, etc. So I just hit create a pie. For those of you that didn't see that, you'll see if you go to the investment tabs, has all your individual stocks, and if you go to the pies tab, you will see the option create a pie. But because I've already created one, that disappears and you just see this plus symbol. That plus symbol shows that I can therefore create a pie. So what I'm going to do is create a pie. I'm going to go into stocks, and then this is the way they've basically got all of the stocks filtered, similar to when you're browsing stocks. So I'm going to go to most popular. I'm going to say, you know what, I want a bit of Tess, a bit of Amazon, a bit of micro hard. All of the trading too, I'm too fan to like micro hard. What's he talking about? Listen, you need to watch my free trade updates to know. I want some Nvidia and maybe some Google. You know what? F it. Let's just chuck in the Uber as well. We'll just chuck in the Uber. So I've got 6 instruments. Actually, no, I'm going to take that one out. I've got 5 instruments in the pie, and that's what I want in the pie. If I wanted to go and add, you know, some dividend ones in there too, I could obviously add dividend ones into the pie. Let me add AT&T just for the just, you know, that could be done as well. I could also blend it with some ETFs. So if I wanted to go and add ETFs into the pie, I could see some equity funds and say, you know what, I want to add the Vanguard S&P 500 as well. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stick with, you know, the original 5 stocks that I mentioned before. Now, well, 6 stocks now because I've got AT&T. Now, what it basically says is once you land on it, it then shows you this percentage right here. Now, this percentage is basically the average annual return. So the average return annually that these stocks have given over the previous 5 years. So over the previous 5 years, if you had a portfolio of these stocks and you had 17%, 17%, 17%, 17%, 16%, and 16% allocated to these stocks over the last 5 years, you would have earned 34% per year. So this is basically showing you, you know, what you could have earned and what that means. And I think that's going to be really important data. Now, I did say I'm going to mention some of the pros and cons. This isn't really a con. This is just me being extra super nitpicky, but I think this is a fantastic feature. However, I think, you know, in some instances, some stocks like IPOs obviously wouldn't have operated for 5 years or 3 years. Now, obviously it will adjust it normally, but I think it would be nice to have an option to just have a tab for 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, 6 months, and it just adjusts the percentage so that you can actually see, oh, maybe what was the last 1 year percentage. Also, that can help, you know, in situations where we are in like a current financial crisis or a climate or something significant happen in the year, and you actually just want to be a bit more closer in terms of the time frame of your data. That might give you a bit of an indication. However, you know, that's a really, really minor point. I think this is a great way for you to see, you know, the previous allocations. Now, I'm just going to remove a stock. So now I'm going to remove AT&T and I'm going to delete it. It shows that actually if I've removed AT&T, the previous value of these stocks over the last 5 years is 40.13%. Also, this is clearly now you can see it's 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, right? But I can obviously change the allocation. So if I change this because I want a bit more Alphabet and I want a bit more Tesla, then it shows it's 51.32%. So you could play around with this all day and all night long. Now, the only issue is you can't proceed. Why can't you proceed? Because you see this smaller circle here, which basically tells you that you have allocated 145% to this portfolio, and it's meant to add up to 100%, because when you're investing on a regular basis of the money you put in, 100% needs to be split among the stocks that you're going to hold within the specific pie. So clearly there's a bit too much in the allocation here, and you can see it in red, so you can't obviously proceed when you select next. What you'll then need to do is to dial it down. So what I'm going to do, just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to dial Alphabet down to 20%, and I'm going to dial Tesla back down to 20%, and you can see the next button is illuminated. That little circle has disappeared. We're back at 40.13 average annual return, and I can obviously proceed as I see fit. If you wanted to add another stock, you could do that, but if you wanted just to continue with these 5 stocks and make your own pie this way, then you could continue to do so. So I'm quite happy with this. You can remove a stock, as you saw me do ATT. You can add to AT&T, you can add new stocks, but I'm just going to proceed with this one. Now, Now you get to the option of choosing how to invest. So you've chosen what you wanted to invest in. Now you can choose how you want to invest into those stocks. And you've got two options, auto invest and manually. I'm going to show you both options, but for starters, I'm going to go with auto invest. So just to give you a brief description, auto invest is basically, on autopilot. It's for those that want to dollar cost average a set monthly amount, have it allocated to your stocks based on the targets that you have set, and so it's cleanly done. So let's say in this specific portfolio, I want to do £100 a month. It automatically takes £100 out of my free cash portfolio on a monthly basis. It invests into those stocks. It then does £20 into each of the stocks because I've done £20 allocation, and it just does that on a regular monthly basis. But if you was to choose manual, then you would have to manually do that. Now some people might need to do that. Let's say you're a student, let's say you don't have a regular income, or you just want to do things on your own terms and control it on your own terms because maybe you got a bonus one time, or this time you've got a payment that you want to make, so you don't really want to invest. It gives you that flexibility to do both. But for now, I'm going to go to auto invest, and here's why. If you click next with auto invest, what it does is this value projection. So now it tells you after 10 years and 120k contributed, the value they forecast your portfolio to be, or my portfolio, or this portfolio, is 1.62 million. So here it gives you an indication of if it continues on that type of performance, that trend, it expects it to be that. Now you can obviously move some of these pedals down, so you could say, you know what, I can't invest £1,000 on a monthly basis into this pie. I'm more likely going to do £250 a month, and then it tells you it's 446k. But you might say, I want to see what that's going to look like for me for 15 years, because if I'm 20 years old right now, I want to retire when I'm 35 years old. That might be your goal, right? So if you're 20 years old and you're saying, I can afford £250 a month and I want to retire when I'm 35 years old, so that's my goal for this specific pie, what does it look like? And it tells you that if you did £250 a month over 15 years, then the potential value will be 3.37 million. But that's obviously an estimation, and it's based on that historical return that we saw earlier, the 40.13% return that we saw earlier. That is effectively what it's based on. So that gives you the opportunity to kind of forecast how good your performance would be and how good the stocks you are selecting and what you can potentially expect from this specific pie. So I think this looks good. 15 years, £250 a month, let's stick with that. And then it also talks about your initial deposit of 1,000, but I'm going to be like, I'm going to do my initial deposit is going to be 250 as well, and then it tells you it's 3.06 million. In fact, I could just take off the initial deposit, put it to £1. Oh, no, not going to do that. I'm going to take down the initial deposit rather, and it says it's 2.96 million. I put a deposit of £1, etc. Now you can add more money to your pie, and we're going to talk about that later on, but currently that's the schedule that I want to set. Then you can personalize your pie. So this for me is retirement. This is my retirement pie, and to personalize it a bit, I can actually change the icon. So I can be like, all right, cool, what icon basically signifies retirement? And I like this boat. Icon. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to be on a yacht somewhere, do you know what I mean, chilling, maybe on a carnival cruise or something, one of them saga trips or something like that. So that's my icon. I'm retirement next, and that's it. Listen, this pie is good. It's good to go. It's set up, it's done. All you need to is fund the pie, and when you click on obviously fund the pie, you've got your payment methods and your payment options that you can effectively do. Now, I have obviously not funded that pie, so you can just see different statuses. Now with this specific kiddies pie that I created earlier, the Neil Buchanan vibe, I put that I wanted to have an initial amount, I believe, I can't remember what it was, but because of that, it basically now says I'm behind target. But because my initial amount was £1, and obviously I need to do that within the first month, then I'm on track effectively with this current plan, and it tells you what you are against your goals. So if I click on that retirement pie now, what you can see, the value of the pie is 0. I've invested 0. The cash is 0, which is the cash that's deposited within the pie, and my total return is 0. And then I've got this option right here, which is drip. Let's talk drip. Yeah, let's talk drip. And I'm not talking bust down rolly, Because if you take a bus down to my end, you get rolled on. I'm talking big drip, the real drip, dividend reinvestment program. That's the real drip right there. Right here, it's turned auto reinvest on, but if I go to settings and click on that little wrench or spanner or whatever that is, I'm not really a handyman like that, whatever that icon is, I can change to drip to be off or drip to be on. Now with dividend reinvestment, this for me is exceptionally important. Dividend reinvestment means that when you get your dividends from the specific stocks within your pie, it then reinvests that back into your pie. So quite simply, the money that you get from dividends gets reinvested back into it. Now 212 has something called a threshold value, and it's quite important to know. So what that threshold value is, it's a variable amount. It will differ from person to person. It will differ to, you know, the type of pie you've got and how much slices you've got in your specific pie. But let's say, for example, your threshold value is £2 and you receive a dividend from one of your stocks, but that dividend is £1.50. If you receive a £1.50 dividend, it will not reinvest that. It will leave it into the cash portion of your portfolio, as you can see up here. Until you hit your threshold value, which is the £2, then it will reinvest. So then you receive another dividend from another stock, and that's 55p. Then now you've got £2 and 5p. Then that £2 and 5p will be reinvested back into your portfolio, and it'll be reinvested and allocated as per your target. So if your target is 20% per stock, then that £2 5p will be distributed 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20% into the 5 stocks that you specifically hold within that portfolio. There's also other reinvestment methods if you chose the manual option, which we can talk about a bit later, but that's effectively how it works. Now, what you can also do is, you know, top up your pie. So let's say, for example, you receive that £1.50 dividend, and then you're like, you know what, I've got a little bit extra cash this week. I didn't go out this weekend, so I'm going to put £50 into the account. Now you got £51.50. Then it will reinvest that £51.50 across your portfolio, because you've gone over the threshold value. So you don't have to wait for your dividend to be available. But I always talk about the concept of compounding interest, and compounding interest, as Einstein said, is the 8th wonder of the world. This really here is the key to investing, particularly if you're a dividend investor. Getting your dividends and reinvesting it back into your portfolio and continuously doing that exercise. And when you saw that curve go exponentially up, one of the main reasons for that is getting dividends and reinvesting it back. Obviously, this specific portfolio, I think only Microsoft maybe paid dividends. I can't even remember what I even put into this pie now. Actually, I can just tell you because I put the whole. So Microsoft pays a dividend, and that's it really. I think, and maybe Nvidia does actually. I'm not too sure, but effectively, that will then reinvest. But you could have it all dividend one, or you know, you can do that however you feel the need to effectively manage that. Now, if you wanted to adjust your goal, so this is basically set my goal as 2.96 million due to the time that I had it set at. I can reduce that. I could say, you know, my goal is actually being more reasonable. It's 100,000, and you know, you can just update your goal, because what will happen is as you go towards, it tells you in blue the percentage you are, you know, in accordance to your goal. Can I go back to the 2 point? Yeah, I can go back to 2.9 just by clicking that. So I'll go 2.9 million because I'm trying to ball out B. I'm trying to get it. So that's an option that you can obviously do. And then your cash is the part of your pie that's actually not invested, which I mentioned. So you have some that's actually in your pie and some that's not. Now, you can personalize your pie, so you can change the image, the icon. You can also duplicate the pie if you wanted to copy it and then maybe, you know, have a specific holding. You can see here what your investment plan is. You can add a payment method so that it can automatically just go straight into this pie, and that could be done on a regular basis. What you can also do is turn auto invest off. So if you turn auto invest off, effectively you are now manually investing into your pie. So remember when we created the pie, we had auto invest and we had manual as another option as well. You can obviously do it on a manual basis. Now, if you're doing it on a manual basis, there's a few more things to basically, you know, be mindful of. When you're manually investing, you have the option. I think, let me show you. That might actually be nice. You know what? Let me just quickly make another pie, and I'm going to talk about and show you the manual options. I believe it will show me. So let's go to these 3 stocks. Those are the 5 stocks I want. It tells me 16.23%. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go manual. I'll go next. My icon is, this one is about, I don't know, holiday. I'm saving for a holiday. And this was specifically airplane, create pie. Now, I don't know if it shows you here, but I'm going to try and find it. Just bear with me, folks. Okay, it doesn't show you here, but effectively what I wanted to speak about is that when you're manually reinvesting, you effectively got 3 options. One is to invest by your targets. One is to do it self-balancing, and another one is custom. So if you're doing it by targets, what that basically would mean is when you select the targets option, if you had 20% across all stocks and you manually deposited £200, then it'll put £40 into each of the stocks. If you did it by self-balancing method, that you wanted to rebalance that portfolio slightly, then what it would do is it will put more money into some of your underweight stocks and less money into your overweight stocks. A stock can become overweight simply because, it shot up. So let's say, for example, you invested into Tesla and you invested into, a few other UK stocks. Tesla might have shot up, and now the balance of your portfolio is going to be slightly weighted, slightly shifted. So if you wanted to do that, then obviously you wanted to, make them all even again, you've got that self-balancing option. The last one is a custom option, which means you could just deploy all your money into one specific element of your pie. So if you wanted just to put that £100 in that month just into one of the stocks or ETFs within your pie, then you can effectively do that. So those will be your options when you are actually investing and funding your oh my gosh, I just want to talk through all of that, and I could have just clicked one button and basically it could have explained it. Anyway, I explained that. That's the basically options: buy target, self-balancing, or custom, as you can see on your screen there. And that's the options that you've got when you want to invest into a specific pie. And listen, man, you are effectively running your own hedge fund out here. You are Bridgewater Associates, ARK. You can do everything that their man can do, and that's why I feel like this feature is so extremely important, because it allows you to really manage your portfolio, think about the decisions that you're buying, and allocate accordingly, based off your requirements and so forth. Now, there's also another option with manual that you'll see is called a rebalance. So when you've got a portfolio, and let's say some stocks have gone a bit overweight and some stocks are now a bit underweight, and they're not in allocation to your target. So let's say, for example, the Tesla example, we've put everything as 20%, but Tesla's skyrocketed and all the other stocks have fallen flat. Now Tesla is no longer going to be 20% of your portfolio. It might actually be 30% of your pie, or make up 40% of your pie, depending on the performance that Tesla's had versus some of the other stocks. And you might think, okay, what I want to do now is rebalance it, because Tesla's a bit too overweight, it's making up too much of my portfolio, and I need to basically rebalance that. What you can do is hit a button called rebalance, which I can't obviously show you here because I've got nothing in the pie. But what that rebalance button effectively does is it will shave bits of your portfolio that's overweight and redeploy that money into parts of your portfolio that's underweight. So it might sell a few of your Tesla shares in order to reinvest into a few of your Barclays shares effectively, just to make sure that portfolio is effectively balanced in the targets and the correct way that you've effectively set. So, I think that's a really important thing. Like when you're watching CNBC and you've got, one of them hedge fund managers, and they're like, right, Gerald, yes, we initiated a petition in Tesla, and, due to its meteoric rise, we decided to review our target allocation and redeploy capital to some of our emergent unrealized. But it's like, shut up, fam. All you've done is basically sold a few stocks that are a bit too high, and you put it into some stocks that's a little bit low, and that's simply what you guys are doing as well. So this is really simple stuff. It's not rocket science. You'll get the hang of it when you're actually doing it, but it's really powerful stuff, and that's the really important thing to know. It's really powerful because it gives you a lot more control of your portfolio. It allows you to visualize some of the performances that you might get, and with auto invest and drip and things like that in place, I think it encourages really good behaviors that's going to help you invest primarily for the long term, and help you do what you need to do. You guys, how many times have I spoken about having a horizon, having a goal in mind? This is effectively doing all of that. Everything that I've spoken about over the last 2 years. My horizon for this specific pie could be 15 years. My horizon could be 10 years for these specific stocks. My goal could be a certain amount or whatever, or for a certain purchase. This effectively does all of that and just has that on autopilot for you. Now, if you wanted to overtake it and if you wanted to take control over it and manually make some changes, then you have the ability to do so. But if you wanted just to try and keep something going, honestly, I think Pyre is one of the best ways to do that. Now, if you did want to withdraw some funds, you can obviously withdraw funds, back to cash and obviously back into your, private account for whatever purposes. And you can withdraw funds the same way we spoke about previously. So you could withdraw funds by target, which basically means that it will take the same percentage across all your stocks. So let's say, for example, I had £200 into this pie and it was, 20% across £100 into the pie, 20% across 5 stocks, which basically means I've got £20 in each stock, and I needed to withdraw £50. Then what it would do by target is take £10 from each of the stocks. So in order to maintain that, you could do it on a self-balancing vibe. So let's say, for example, the same scenario, but for whatever reason Tesla was much higher than the other stocks in my portfolio, then it would take more from Tesla in order to rebalance that portfolio when I'm doing the withdrawal. Or you can do it custom and say, I just want to take all of the Tesla money out and just leave the rest of the stocks in the pie. Again, you've got full flexibility and control when you withdraw it. And that, my friends, effectively is the Pyre's feature. I think it's going to have a really, really, really significant impact to your portfolio and your investment lifestyle. I sure hope it does anyway, and I think it's going to be really beneficial. Now, if you haven't seen the Pyre feature on your app, you need to head over to the Trading 212 community. You need to click on the link, you need to join the beta program, and they're pretty quick, the guys there, and they'll initiate you onto the beta program so you can test and you can effectively try this out. One thing that I do hear is coming is that if you do have stocks that are in your current investments portfolio and you want to move them to your Pyres, you can't currently do that at the moment. So what you would have to do is wait, because when this launches to the mass market, I'm hearing that they will allow you to basically migrate some of your existing portfolio stocks into a Pyre if you wanted to do that. So for example, I might create a Pyre for free shares, and all of the free shares that I get, I might not want to sell them. I might just put them into a Pyre, tuck them in there and just see how they grow over the future, or something of that nature. So you have that option to do so. I know some people have amassed really big and significant portfolios of Trading 212 already, and they wanted to think, I don't want to set new Pyres, I want to repurpose some of those stocks I've already got. That feature will be available to you soon. But yeah, that's effectively the Pyre feature. Hopefully I covered everything you needed to know about that, but there's a lot of information out there on the Trading 212 community and on the help site as well. But listen, if you've got any questions, get in the comments, hit me up in the DMs, and I'll do my best to answer any questions that you've got. And by the time it's next Trading 212 Tuesday and I'll add more to this portfolio, I'd definitely be looking at some of the Pyres that I'm potentially gonna create and gonna invest in. I've actually started creating some watch lists, and some Pyres are most certainly coming in the future. So yeah, hope you found this video useful. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you next time with another investment video. Take care, guys. Peace.